What's up, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of A Pro's Life Lessons I've Learned Through Soccer. I'm your host, Tristan Bowen, and today we got my guy, Kelyn Rowe. His resume speaks for itself. There's nothing that I could do that can hype him up or just give you an accurate understanding of what a legendary career the guy has had. He's made a name for himself at the New England Revolution. Before that, he was a standout player at UCLA, which should have been my alma mater, if I'm being honest. But, dude, you've had an incredible career, represented the United States men's national team. On the surface, it looks like you've done everything, so I appreciate you taking the time and obviously being here so we can dive a little bit deeper into your story and what makes Kelyn.
God, don't ask my parents because there's a lot of other answers they're gonna give. But no, that was awesome. It's funny when you go through your career, you talk about like reminiscing and stuff, and like the youth stuff you almost forget about. But like that's kind of where we connected, and so I think it's kind of cool to go back to that youthful area. Obviously, UCLA was a great time, and everyone always talks about the pros, but they forget about the other piece.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, hey, listen, talk to me. What's Federal Way like? I mean, I played in Seattle for a little bit. I know Lamar. He's from Federal Way.
Yeah.
And it seems like, I don't know if there's some in the water there. You guys are producing some people. So what do you remember about home?
Oh man, I think it was great, right? It was a bunch of local kids that were playing. I mean, in my street alone, like my little cul-de-sac and an area around, there was an Olympian. There was myself as a pro, Sean Coley. Sean Coley was there. So Ugo,
no way.
yeah. So he was like 10 houses up from me, who was also a professional player, both in Seattle, New England, and New York. Both of my sisters went D1. Like the guys that were playing in the street were incredible, and so we play with each other all the time. And so that competitiveness, that fun, right? But everyone was athletic, and so you just kind of grew on that. But I mean, it attests to like one, trying to get out of there. I think Lamar was the same way. Like, hey, I don't want to be in Federal Way my whole life, and I'm really good at this. Let's continue to go. And like, I didn't meet Lamar until actually in the pros, and I realized that he was from Federal Way. We were both from Federal Way, playing against each other, and it was like, oh, what's up? Yeah. So like down the street from me, J.R. Selsky, he was a speed skater. He was like the next Apollo Ono. And then if you ever remember, there was a speed skater, the ice speed skater that cut his artery in the inside of his leg and then almost died. It was like 2 centimeters from dying, like the artery. Yeah, he came back, won gold, silver, bronze in like the next Olympics. It was crazy. But yeah, he lived like 5 houses
from Federal Way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what is the, take me there, what's the feeling, what's the vibe in that area? Because obviously from the outside looking in, you say Federal Way, it's like somebody saying LA, but there are places in LA, there's little pockets.
Yeah.
You kind of describe what it was like around your house, but what was the general feel? Is it a working class, neighborhood? Is it blue collar, white collar? What is it like?
It was definitely on the working class, blue collar, area. And there was different pockets for sure. So if people who don't know, let's take Seattle, obviously the biggest one. You go about 35, 40 minutes south, right before you hit Tacoma, that is Federal Way. And it is, again, it has pockets, right? I lived in an okay neighborhood, pretty good neighborhood, but there are pockets that definitely weren't. Like when I went to high school in Federal Way High School, it was fairly around poverty. Right, and there was active shooters or drug deals going on outside, and so we'd have. And Lamar will tell you the same thing where he went to like the rival high school, but probably just about across the street. You're having a lockdown at school once a month, and it just becomes normal. It just becomes normal. But you also get this sense that athletics and like being an athlete will get you out of something like that. And I think that's what drove people. Like Federal Way has a huge sports program. Basketball, football, soccer, baseball, like whatever it was their way of staying out of trouble, but also doing what they love to do and having fun with it. And hopefully it brings them out. And so I've actually had some conversations with people in the past when I did go pro, they were like, you made it out. It wasn't like you made it, you made it out. Like that was the intensity of it. And so it just pushed you every day.
It's crazy because on the outside looking in, I would never guess like Kelyn, like you wouldn't have grown up in an area like that, but that's why you never judge a book by its cover. So what did you learn about how to be seen, how to be respected, or how to belong when you were growing up in an area where, again, certain spots, certain little pockets, you don't necessarily want to be at the wrong time?
You prove it, right? You prove it. You lead with respect, especially when speaking, showing up somewhere. But then if you're on the field, you just prove it. Right? You don't back down from anything. You do your skills. You honestly, you talk the shit and you get it back, right? You have to talk the shit and then get it back. But I had,
Yeah.
I got to understand and get respect from my teammates, right? So I played football. Now, don't laugh,
Yeah.
right? I played football. There's, and I'll tell you a story after this, but I played football and I was the kicker. And at one point, like the referee, you're supposed to hold your hand up to be ready. And the referee couldn't see my hand
Yeah.
because there were guys in front of me that were too big, right? I was 5'0", and so this big Samoan guy picked me up, literally took me off of my feet, picked me up
Nah.
so the ref could see my hand, and like it's like I had like mini
Nah.
bodyguards. Like anywhere I went, I had like I was the mini one. They were big, but I took
Yeah.
one punt return. I was a kick returner, punt returner, so all special teams. But I took a punt return. I thought I was by this guy, and then all of a sudden I'm looking up at the air, and I'm like, oh no,
Got
I
moved
got
up.
suplexed. I got suplexed. That clip is on like our da-na-na, na-na-na, like it's
Seriously?
like our local ESPN like sports highlights for 10 years. 10 years is just me getting
I gotta find
suplexed
that.
every night.
I gotta find that. And I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna unearth this.
Oh, it was like Comcast
That's
Sportsnet,
crazy.
Kelyn Rowe. Poosh. Yeah. Yeah. So never took a punt again.
Yeah, it's funny. My brother he played football in high school. He would come home, fingers all
Oh,
mangled, hair in his afro, and I was just like, I'm good. I don't want any parts of that. So I stayed away from it. So growing up, was there anyone in particular, mom, dad, brother, friend, who had a profound impact on you and maybe shaped you in a meaningful way that you still hold on to today?
yeah, for sure. I mean, so in my family, everyone was pretty much athletes. My dad was football, baseball. My mom was soccer and basketball. And so my mom kind of like took on that
Mm,
soccer world, and she was like finesse. She could beat you up, but she was more so finesse, right? Find a way around the wall, or don't try
yeah,
and run through it. My dad is like, I was a
right.
fullback in college. I would run through a wall for a living. Like that's what you're supposed to do. So I got best of both worlds there.
Yeah,
But I would say coaches, right? So I started training what's called Corver coaching. If you've ever heard it around the area, it's like a youthful skill set, right? It's just footwork mostly and skill sets in that sense, ball mastery. And so TR Stoneback was my coach, and I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I did that for about 10 years, and got that
yeah,
mastery where, and you talk about it where it becomes easy, right? So the ball's at your feet,
yeah.
you don't have to look at it because I know exactly where it is because I can
Right.
feel it, right? And so I think TR
You
kind of
know you're
gave
going
me
to
that.
receive that first touch.
Yeah, TR gave me
Yeah.
that. A guy named Andy Flory. He was a coach in Federal Way, one of my like first like real coaches for a team, and he's an English dude. So he taught me like pinging a ball, winning a proper header,
Yeah.
like the gritty stuff,
Yeah.
like the classic
Yeah. Yeah.
English
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had a
Right.
coach in the youth side that was called Bernie James. He was my last youth coach, and he was one of those that gave me confidence. He gave me
Mm.
so much confidence because there was a moment I remember it. He's like, I'm on the field and I play a great long ball to one of our guys. He takes a pretty bad touch, loses it across
Yeah.
the whole field in front of like 40 college coaches, all the parents. Kelyn, stop passing the ball. I want to win. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna go dribble and score goals now. And so he was like,
Yeah.
dude, you're really good. Just keep going. Like don't live into all
Yeah.
this like team stuff. Like if you want to win, go do what you need to do to win. At the pro level, they'll teach you the other stuff. And so
Yeah.
I think that all of it combined kind of brought me into that level.
I love that, man. And that's I feel like now people want you to be a team player, and there's all this talk about, especially from old school guys, they're like, the game has changed, everybody's about themselves. And to a certain degree
Yeah.
I agree, right? We live in, social media where everybody's looking for their clips. But like at the youth level, I always tell kids, like, none of this matters. This is, if you have aspirations to play college or play professional, everything in youth soccer doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is all preparation to get to where you want to be. And when you get to where you want to be, you better know how to pass, dribble, beat a player, be creative, have all of the tool sets in your toolkit so that when you get there, you're not pigeonholed in any way, shape, or
No.
form, you know?
I think the difference
but
that comes from coaches and comes from players, and obviously, like you said, that like the clickbait like mentality and environment we're in. But there's a difference between skillful and like talented
yeah,
or like showboaty, right? Skillful and showboaty
mm,
are that's completely different, right? If I'm doing this move
yeah,
just to make you look bad, there's a difference. If I'm doing this move because I know I'm going to
yeah,
move you left to go right, that's skillful,
yeah,
right? To set
yeah,
someone up perfectly, that's skillful. I don't care about the clip. I care about
yeah,
beating you. Like that's the
yeah, for
difference, right? And
sure.
so if you can
Yeah,
monetize that, then you're going to be great because then I moved you here
yeah,
to pass there. I'm gonna
yeah,
get you closer and closer. Lee Win was the best at this. He'd get guys so close to him, find a way to pass it, and then he's already by him because he's based
yeah,
them in, and like those
yeah.
things are different than trying to trick.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because Lee is not the most athletic person by
No,
any means, but when you play with him, he's everywhere.
my
He's
God.
a facilitator. He dictates the game, which is what obviously made him great, you
Hmm.
know? So look, Cal, we met each other at the youth national
Hmm.
team, right? And it's funny when you describe how you grew up and what gave you that grit. I was like, okay, this makes sense now because you had this bite to
Hmm.
you, but it was always like, I was talking to my brother beforehand. I was like, I'm going to interview Kelyn. What do you want to know? He's like, yeah, he was just a standout player, and I think he would have done well in Germany. And he's like, I want to ask him if he grew up in this time. Do you think you would have went to UCLA, or do you think you would have bypassed that, try to go overseas? Because you were so dominant even at that early age. What would you have done?
So I wouldn't have had the choice. And so I say that because it was offered to me. So when
Mm-hmm.
I was 14, yeah, so as a freshman in high school, maybe 1 year before, so 13, 14 years old, I was asked to go move to Germany and go play in an
Oh,
academy.
really?
I didn't find out about this until like 2 years later. But my parents were like, "Hey, this is what
Uh,
happened. We feel bad not telling you, but you're doing really well now, so whatever." But they were like, "Hey, we're not gonna. You're still our child. We're not going to let you lose your childhood, your experiences, your education, to go do something that we know
mhm.
you can do later on, right?" And so
Wow.
I had the opportunity. Now I think as a older person now, and I'm not a parent yet, but I think I would make the same decision. I probably have different
Mm,
conversations because the world is a
yeah.
little bit different now. Um,
Yeah.
but like, the league in the U.S. wasn't around really. It was around, but like it wasn't great,
No.
right? So like
Yeah.
it
Yeah. It was
wasn't
different
like it
back then.
was, hey, soccer is great in America. Let's go. Let's do
Yeah.
this. So there wasn't like a
Yeah.
path or an avenue, and so they let me make sure I was a kid, make sure I got
Exactly.
my education. My dad's a high school math teacher. He's like, yeah, drop out of school? No,
Uh,
that's just not going to
yeah.
happen.
Go play
So
soccer. Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, but I also had the same thing happen when I went into the league. And so as I was getting drafted, or right before the draft, I had a conversation with my agent at the time, Mark Garland. He said, "Look, there's a Swedish team here. It's half the money, but there's a huge upside because they keep selling. So the Swedish league is selling a lot
Yeah.
to the bigger
Yeah.
clubs in Germany, France, Europe, whatever it may be in Europe. And so then I had double the money. So let's say 75K to 150K, 5 year
Yeah.
contract in the MLS, coming out of college at
1 year
20
over
years
there.
old, right? I'm like, I'm coming out of college, so I'm losing my education. So that kind of
Yeah.
freaked me out because my parents
Yeah.
always put education in there first, right? And so
Yeah. Yeah.
if I get hurt here, I'm screwed. I can't come back to UCLA
Yeah. Right.
and play, So,
Right.
okay, I have 5 years security. They're gonna pay for my school, which I never finished. But like, you know what I mean? Like coming out, it's a hard decision.
Yeah, it is. It is. I found myself in a similar situation, right? So like, who was your coach at UCLA? Was it
Jorge Salcedo.
yes. Okay, so same coach, obviously around the same time. It was UCLA. That was the only offer I had. The other offer I had was some random Christian school in like Kansas City. Apparently everybody knew that I wasn't going to go to college, so no one thought to ask me outside of UCLA. But it was either that or go into the league right away and secure my family,
Hmm.
and it was an easy decision at that time. I got the same deal. We were both GAs. I did finish school because I didn't have any schooling, But, at the time, it just didn't really it felt like a no-brainer, But I guess my brother was right. Like, you would have killed in Germany. You just got, like, just your work ethic, your intelligence. It just, like, your profile just feels like it's just perfect for that place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have any
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets about it?
I don't have any regrets. I try not to hold any regrets, even for the decisions that I made during my career, whether to go to teams or not go to teams or things of that sort, because that pops up too. It's more so I'd love to see, my magic crystal ball of if I went to Germany, right? Where would my career be? Where would my
Yeah.
life be? Who would I be as a person? That's what I'm more worried about in
Yeah.
Germany, because I don't get the high school experience, the college experience, the maturity that I think I would need
Yeah.
to kind of grow up as a good person, the person I am. And then I think that sweetest
Yeah.
decision versus the MLS, if I could see that crystal ball of like, where did I end up? It'd be
Yeah.
cool to see, but I had such a great career, a good life. Like, this was a cool experience for me. People talk about, well, you could have gone to Europe and played. Well, I went across the country. I didn't even know where New England was. Like, I was like, where am I going? They're
Right.
like, Boston.
Yeah.
I go, cool, never been there. Like, I walked off. I got on the plane in January. I was in LA. I was getting all my stuff in LA, and I got on the plane in
Oh,
January,
man.
got off the plane in New England in January, and I had jeans and a
Freezing.
t-shirt on because I was like, I don't know where I'm going.
Freezing.
I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot, dude. I'm an idiot. And so, like, you still
Oh,
get the different
man.
cultures and you still get the different fun, but like, I did
Yeah.
something I never would have thought of doing.
Right. So you talked to me about New England, right? You obviously left college early. You didn't know where you were going, but you walk into this locker room, right? You're a 20-year-old. Who is that person that showed up on day one?
My man, Shaw Reed Joseph. Come on, Shaw Reed Joseph, dude. All right, so my first training session, right? I was with the under-23 national team for a bit, so we were doing like our camp was during preseason for a little bit, so I missed like the first like 3-4 days. So all the older guys,
Yeah.
so I got like Matt Reese, Darius Barnes, Kevin Alston,
Yeah.
Chris Tierney, Shaw Reed Joseph, Clyde Sims,
Yeah.
like, bruh, I had the old crew came out. So my first
Yeah.
training session is a scrimmage, and they line me up against Shaw Reed, right? And I am lively, dude. I'm a 20-year-old kid, and I'm
That's
lively.
fun.
I'm talking shit. I'm doing dribbles.
Oh, you talking that talk to him?
Dude, I'm an idiot.
I know what
I'm youthful
happened.
ignorance, dude. Youthful ignorance. And so finally, I went by him. I did a scissor, went by him. I didn't say anything this time, but I did a scissor, went by him. I got a flat foot on my shin. If you know Shaw Reed Joseph, he doesn't wear studs.
Yeah.
And so thankfully,
Yep.
this is just like a turf shoe, right? So it's flat, but flat right on my shin, and I'm like, oh my god, my career's done. And so he's just like, hey,
man.
good job, young fella. Don't do that to me again. And I was like, oh yes, sir. So it was a quick awakening, right? And then
Yeah.
I had different experiences as Matt Reese would go out to me before every game. He's big goalie gloves. He punched me in the chest twice, and he says, you don't help anyone up today. You're too nice. Don't help anyone up. After the game, he's like, you can go shake their hand. But when you're playing, he's basically giving me that, like, you got to put on a veil here. Like, hey, dude,
gotta be a killer.
mama mentality. Like, you're a different person once you
Yeah.
cross these lines. And that's what he was trying to put that across in a way of not saying like, stop, but he got it across. You had to turn into a different person. But like, all those older guys came into New England when I was there, and wow, dude, it was such an experience to learn.
And that's a time where there was no development league, there was no development academy, there was nothing, right? And I tell people this all the time, like sometimes when I sit back and I look back at my career, I'm like, man, different time, different this, different that, but just to, one, make it there is an accomplishment in and of itself. Two, making it there when we were there, it was incredibly hard because you either sink or swim.
Oh.
This either works or it doesn't. You're either playing or you're in the stands. There's no reserve matches. You know what I mean?
So like, there was reverse matches, but they were
for a
terrible.
Second.
I would play 30 minutes.
Yeah, and it was for a second.
I'd play 30 minutes on Saturday and play 60 on Sunday morning at 10 a.m.
Yes, exactly.
I was a young kid, so I could do it, but like, oh, man.
Yeah. But that only lasted maybe, I signed in, maybe 09. And it's when we say 1 year, it's not a calendar year. It's the reserve league season, which you have maybe 5 games or something like that. So it was just like, I remember going similarly to you, But the only thing was we played a game and then we went into a game right after we walked out of the stadium. You get your jersey on and then you went up at the Home Depot Center, bro. You went to the field and you jumped in the game
Yeah.
and you played.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was a dog eat dog world. You had to figure it out. And in some ways I think that served me well. But when you think about that, right, like you come into a locker room with strong personalities, you see it all over the world. They're talking about how important it is for young players to come into good locker rooms, good role models, and older players to teach them the game. Did you feel like, obviously you spoke about Matt Reese, but did you feel like you needed to be someone else that you weren't in order to succeed, or were they just bringing out what was already in you? When you stepped on the field.
I think a little bit of both. I think they helped me mature. They gave me some moments. If and they did it in a good way. I think the way that at least it worked for me. I remember when I scored my first goal in preseason, and I scored two, and I scored one really good one, and I had like tweeted something out, right? I had tweeted something out, and so Darius Barnes, Kevin Alston, Chris Tierney, Shalry, I walk on the bus. And it's just like, oh, there's the superstar. And like, there was this like, hey, be confident, but there's no need for that. And so they helped me mature. Something I learned from Chris Tierney is that he keeps, he's jarring at me, kicking me. And afterwards I was like, yo, what's up, dude? Like, do you not like me? He goes, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't speak a word to you. I think you should be better. And I want you to be better because I can see it. So I'm yelling at you.
Yeah.
And like that's the first thing. And now I get it because I do the same thing. If I don't like you, I don't want to talk to you. If I think there's potential there and I think that you have a good attitude and I think I like it, I'm gonna continue to go at you in a productive way. But I think I learned from those guys a lot the maturity as a person. As much as I did the game, and mature in the game a little bit, I did as a person more so with those older guys.
Yeah, yeah. So you made a name for yourself in New England, right? You spent, how many, was it 12 years?
8. Only 8, yeah.
Feels like it was
Dude,
12.
It felt
You
like
were
20.
there forever.
Yeah.
It was
like 20.
Forever. I was like, is this guy going to get a move? But you really made a name for yourself there. When you think back to New England, what are the feelings that come up for you?
It's just it's incredibly nostalgic because it was the start, right? And so you talk about the different avenues, how hard it was to get in, right? You have to find a way into the league, and I think nowadays there's so many opportunities. Now the league is 10 times better. If I came in as a college kid that I would have had trouble making a roster. I think, right? Now I would have had confidence because I would have done it, but. Now there's different avenues. Now there's MLS Next Pro. Now there's the USL groups. There's the USL 1, USL 2, USL whatever. So there's a lot more avenues to go. So I got lucky in that Jay Heaps was my coach, and I was his first pick as a coach ever. I was his first draft pick, his guy. And so he took that on and was like, hey, you're my guy. If I'm having 3-4 bad games in a row, he's at least giving me a warning, and he's like, hey, you got one more chance here. And then I'm gonna see about someone else. But we had that communication because he trusted me. The guys did too. Thankfully, it wasn't just the coach and the coach's pet here, but I think that also helped in my development and my longevity in this league is because it could have just died out in 2 years. You see it all the time.
Yeah,
guy comes in, plays really well, but then the next 2 years it doesn't because the new coach or whatever, he doesn't get along. Yeah. So I had a lucky where it was a 6-year run of Jay Heaps at New England, and so he was the guy to like kind of, even when I was down, keep pushing me forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So during your time there, I think one of the most impactful moments of your career there was starting the NEGU crew.
Yeah.
I remember being across the league and seeing that, and I was like, man, that is so dope. You know what I mean? Just not only as somebody that comes from an area where you understand how much of an impact you can make if you apply yourself, but you actually did it, and not many people were doing that. So can you talk to me about what the NEGU crew was, what made you want to do it, and the impact that it had not only on you, the organization, and the kids that you brought into the New England Stadium?
Yeah, I've met some incredible people throughout my life, especially in high school when I was a little bit of a cocky SOB. And, knew I was kind of Shit don't stink. And then in college, I met some great people too. And so a guy I knew in college, Corey Tomlinson, he's like, "Hey, I just started this new at this new foundation. It's called the Jesse Reese Foundation. They do, they walk into hospitals. They just kind of create this like joyful day for these kids. They've got these little joy jars packed full of toys and like fun socks and coloring books and things of that sort for these kids that can't get out of the hospital, a little bit of joy and a little bit of time to themselves. And
Right.
so he's like, "Hey, do you want to do a visit with us? I'm going to be in Boston." I said, "Yeah, that sounds great." And so I did it. And I ended up meeting this kid named David. David was a Brazilian kid. He was in there for a little while and he had some leukemia problems. And then he was the whole time. I was supposed to be about 5-10 minutes with each kid. I sat down with David for 30 minutes. Like they had to like pull me away. We're talking soccer. He's like, Neymar's my favorite player. We're going after it a little bit. And he's like, afterwards, the whole time, he's like, "Can I come to a game? Can I please come to a game?" I can't say yes because I have no idea how sick he is. I have no idea if he can leave the hospital, if it's going to, harm him. But we find a way, and David comes to the last game of the season in 2014. David comes to the last game. So he comes in, he's wearing a jersey that he made with my name on the back.
Nah,
He made a
no.
shirt and like his mom ironed on row 11 on the back. And we had planned on giving him a jersey anyways. Like I was going to give him my jersey after the
Yeah.
game. And I was like, this is one of the coolest things you could have. It's just incredible. And so
Yeah.
we started with David, and David was incredibly thoughtful and exciting, and he's still alive today, by the way, which is great, and doing really well. He's just off. He just got done with college, I believe, in the New England
That's
area.
crazy.
Yeah, but so we started that, and so now it's like, okay, let's grow upon this. We take kids out of the hospital. We get them to a game. The team will come over and say hi before the game and warm up, say what's up. We try and find out where they're from, like where their family is. And so the town that they're from
Yeah.
will get, haircuts, spa days, gift cards to like the pizza parlor or a restaurant around there. So they have something when they go back,
Wow.
that they don't have to
Yeah.
like scramble for food, scramble for like the
Yeah.
simple things.
Wow.
And so we'll have that
Wow.
for them. They'll go sit up in a box, and after the game is where the magic happens. I mean, they come down after the game, and I'll tell you what, I've missed one, didn't play. I've missed a last minute shot. We've lost the last second of a game, and I have to now go talk with this kid and his family. And I'm running over, I'm
Yeah.
jogging over, and my whole mindset is like, gosh darn it, like I wish we would have done that. I see this kid so happy, jumping up and down. Did you see that? Did you see that? All of the game goes away. There is this
Mm.
human reaction of it doesn't even matter anymore. This is what
Yeah.
matters. And so we take that kid and their family, and we'll walk around the field. Again, they'll see the teammates and say hello. But the best part is we'll go to the fans, and I'll tweet it out, Instagram out, let them know the name of the kid. And so let's take David as example. Is they'll start chanting across the stadium, "Hey David, never give up." Like
Mm.
constantly. And so
Man.
like when you talk about like chills, I've seen grandmothers cry, grandfathers cry,
Yeah.
moms, dads, kids. Everyone's just like, this is a surreal moment. And the
Emotional.
kids like, what are they saying? And I was like, well, listen. And they go, "That's my name." I'm like, yeah, they're cheering for you. And so like again, just lights up, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of it, obviously, so NEGU, never ever give up, NEGU. I like have it here stamped on. David is there.
That's
There's
crazy.
NEGU. But the whole idea, as I talk with the foundation, Eric Reese is the guy's name, who's Jesse Reese's father. He said, "Look, we can't cure cancer. It's not going to come from me or you. I don't have the money, the time, or the brains, but we can cure a bad day." And that's what you're doing right now, and I really appreciate that. And so I took that on as like, okay, I can cure a bad day.
That's amazing. I didn't even realize like the extent of
It's a
that.
it's a
You
project.
know, I heard bits and pieces. It's unbelievable. And when you talk about not only when when the time comes where they're actually getting out of the hospital and then they're surrounded by love and support when they get back to their hometown, that's taken a whole nother step further. You know what I mean? Most people would be like, okay, a hospital, great, did my job, let me go home, back to my life. But that's incredible, man, honestly. I mean, I was feeling emotional hearing about that because I have kids now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like, when I think about my kids and they're sick, and it's just kind of like, I can't imagine one of my kids being in a space where they're not healthy, and there's so much uncertainty. You don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, and for them to have a moment like that, It's priceless, dude. So kudos to you. That's amazing, man. A lot happened for you in New England, and even after that, you got called up to the national team. Did you anticipate that? Did you see it coming, or was it kind of, oh crap? Like, what was the call like? Because this is a question. Was the call similar to like the call that we get when we're youth players, or you kind of get an email, or I forgot who it was, John Fleischman.
John
He would call and be like, hey, yeah,
Your
Fleisch.
flight's
He'd be
in
like,
2
hey,
weeks.
what's up? You got, yeah, when do you want your flight? Where's the care pack? Is this similar? How does that work?
So mine, I didn't have an idea. I had like hey, they're looking at you. Like they always say that. Someone's coming to
Yeah.
watch you. You had a good season, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm coming home from training, and I'm driving, and I get a call, and a number I don't know from California, and pick it up, and it's Kelyn, it's Bruce Arena. Like, hey, coach. He goes, just want to tell you, you're going to be on the Gold Cup roster. We're really excited. You're maturing as a player. We really like to see it. Someone else will give you a thing, but they'll give you a call. So answer that, and we'll figure it out. But continue to play well, and we'll see you in a few weeks. And like
Oh, that's awesome.
I froze. I froze. Like I don't freeze very often, but I froze. And so I got off the phone, and I remember I was driving. And like Boston people don't drive well, so they drive really fast and aggressive. And so I'm still trying to drive, and I'm like screaming at the top of my lungs, like there's so much excitement in me, and I couldn't get it out. I called my parents right away, and again I'm like screaming at them, like I made it, And so I thought my time was kind of done with the national team. I
Really?
thought it had already passed me. These players are so darn good. I was like, maybe I don't think I have it anymore. And so when I got that call, it was like, oh, maybe I do. Maybe I do got it. And I had a pretty good run those 3 games that I was involved in, and I went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows of getting sent home. But it was wow, awesome.
Yeah, yeah. What was, if you think about, that's the highest of highs, right? The lowest of lows was getting sent home. How did that come about? Like, did you obviously felt like you were performing,
Yeah.
but I mean that's a tough thing to
So
experience. Would you say that's the lowest moment of your career?
at that time, it was definitely the catalyst to the lowest moments. So to paint that picture, I go and play the Gold Cup in 2017. I start the pregame, like that like one game beforehand, that exhibition. So we played Ghana. I got the playing really well. So should have had 2 assists on the night, but I made the foul. I had the foul that got us the second goal. Kellen Acosta put it away. But then the next 2 games, I had an assist against Panama and a goal against Nicaragua. And so I'm like, okay, I'm great right now. I'm playing
Yeah,
really well. I had
you would
just
think
got
so.
done scoring against Nicaragua. The next morning, if you guys remember the Gold Cup rules, you can transfer 6 people out. Once you get out of the group stage, you can transfer 6 guys into the roster, and you have to transfer 6 guys out. So the night before, I scored my first goal for the national team. The next morning, Bruce calls me to the breakfast table that he's sitting at. I'm one of the first guys down there, so it's me and Michael Bradley sitting at a table, and Bruce calls me over, and he says, "Hey, look, thanks for coming in. We're gonna send you back to New England tonight." What? I was like, again, being talked about in the media. The guys were like, dude, you're playing so well. I got a goal, so we celebrated that night. Like, what do you mean you're
Yeah,
sending me home? I'm like the attacking guy right now. I got an assist and a goal in
yeah,
2 games. No one does that. And so, but they brought in the Clint Dempseys, the Josie Altidores, the Darlington Nagbe's, the guys that I didn't think I was going to compete with, right? And
yeah,
so they send me back to New England, and I remember getting to the airport. I'm confused already. And I was like, okay, when's my flight? And like Fleischman will talk to you. Obviously, like Fleischman's like, dude, it's at 11. It's 7 a.m. right now. It's at 11 o'clock. And I'm like, okay. So I got to go pack and get to the airport. I get to the airport, and I'm sitting down, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like about to cry. So I go to my dad, I call my dad, and I've got a beer in front of me because I didn't know what to do. And so I'm about halfway through it, and I'm like, I don't want to cry in public. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm wearing all USA stuff. I hate this. He's like, "Well, finish your beer, order another one, and I'm going to talk you through this." And I did cry, but that's one of the hardest moments. 3 games later, I'm back in New England. I'm playing. Um, I had some hard conversations with Jay. I had some anger. I had a lot of anger through this. As the team goes and wins the Gold Cup without me, even though I was part of it. And so we played New York, and at one point I was like, okay, it's the end of the game. I think we were losing, and I was like, I just want to hit something. I want to tackle someone really hard. And I went in to do that, and I missed. Well played by him. I missed. Stabbed my knee into the ground. Hyperextension, out for 12 weeks. So all that negative created even more negative. When you go through your career, you realize like, that was, if I just had a different mindset going into that, I would have been light years better. But I go into that 12 weeks. I come back, I score a great goal, and actually it's a very memorable goal for me. But with some children involved in that, and then for the next 2 years, I don't really play. New coach comes in 2018 for New England. It was one of the worst careers I had in New England. That was when Brad Friedel came in. I then get traded twice in 1 year. I went to Kansas City. I went to Salt Lake in 2019. Again, didn't really play much. Went back to New England and really started to go again. But it was like I went through a 2.5 year span of, I guess I might be done now.
Wow. I'm just thinking about that, like the I don't know how you would process that, right? Like, how do you?
I still haven't. What do you mean?
Because it's that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
you're there, you're on an incredible high,
yeah,
and then you're told you're gonna go home. Your flight's in what, 3 hours? Less than three
yeah,
hours. When you think about it, you gotta get out of there, and then you're just back, and you're watching the team win.
yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I don't know what I would do. You know, what did that now that you reflect on it today, like where you presently sit, what do you feel like that experience taught you, not only about the game but life in general?
I think it reminds me of the negative intention and what negative intention creates. If I have a negative intention towards someone or towards something, it's going to create another negative. Like I said, I was very, very angry, and I still have anger over it because I think it was a pivotal moment in my career, and I feel like it was taken out of my hands. But the piece that was in my hands was in New York at the last second of the game when I didn't have to go into that tackle the way I went into that tackle. Because the way I went into the tackle was the reason that my foot slipped, that I hyperextended, right? If I just go into a normal tackle there and not have the intent the intent of injury is not the right word, but the intention of pain, right? The intention of hitting
Yeah,
something, of strength. That anger took on this
yeah,
negativity, and I think that just puts me towards my life of like, hey, if you have negative intention towards something, it's gonna be another negative. There's no like right turn equals a left. Like this, it's not that way that works. So find a way to take that negative intention out to then hopefully create some sense of a compromise or positive going forward.
yeah.
Not easy to do.
That no, not easy to do. That makes me think about the other day. I was working out. I just finished a workout, and it was like, God, I don't remember when I played my last professional game, and it took me 5 or 10 minutes to think back to it. And now that you said what you said, that's exactly how my career ended. I stepped away, and then I came back. I was with the Oakland Roots, and I think I just got back from an injury, and I felt like I deserved to play in a certain game. It was like the
Hmm.
preseason game. You always have one good game and then a kind of dodgy game. I was in the dodgy game, and I was like, look, last week I just scored 5 goals in a game. Why aren't I, and I was pissed off. And I remember a ball was coming to me in training. I was like, I'm going to hit it with everything I got. And I just booted that ball. And as soon as I booted it, I felt quad
Hmm.
tear, searing pain. And I'm like, oh, snap. Like, that's the exact same thing that happened to me. But, like, when you're in the moment, you're in the moment, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, now I know, like, you got to process those emotions. But, like, how do we know that in the moment? We're not equipped with it. I think now maybe things are a little bit different. I think now guys are leaning on, performance coaches and talking to therapists and stuff like that. But, who knows? Maybe, like, I don't want to sit here and say boo-hoo us, but, maybe things would be different if we had that support, or I guess if we put it on ourselves, if we sought that level of support.
Would you have reached out though? Because I know I had the opportunity, and I talked to some guys along the way. But I enjoyed the edge.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that edge because it then pushed the edge a little bit further, right? Me playing a little angry actually helped because it kept me going, and it's not always, I think like I said, the intention of it, right? If the anger is like, hey, you should have done that better. Okay, go do the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed that pass, go get it back. Like that edge is good, but there's a piece of it that I think, yes, it would have absolutely helped, but I'm not sure I was mature enough to say, I need this.
Yeah. I think back to my time in Seattle, dude. I remember when I went there, Ziggy, seemed like he really wanted me there. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. But I remember in moments there, I was so angry. And I didn't understand what I needed to do. We've had conversations, but, I felt, or at least I interpreted it as they wanted me to play differently, which I'm not sure that I was fully capable of doing. It took away all the things that I was great at. And I remember moments I lashed out. I hurt some people in scrimmages and stuff like that. Not my own teammates, but the teams they would bring in. And when you say if that support was offered, would I reach out? I don't know either, because that edge, I think you need that edge, and all the best players in the world, they have that edge. And once I got to a point where I was like, F it, I'm just going to play how I play. If they don't like it, they don't like it. I'm not leaving. I balled out. And I started getting looked at as a center mid, which I didn't play for a long time. But when I was there, it was just free, So I don't know. I think we needed that. I think we needed that at that time to survive in the environment that we were in. And that's just the truth, So when you look back to your legacy, Kelyn, what do you think it is?
I think on the soccer side, it was my flexibility, right? My ability to play. I started in nine positions through my career. In a professional game, I started 9 positions. Center back and goalie were the only 2 I didn't. I was like trying to round that out, by the way. I was trying to get all 11. They didn't 11. But I remember this vividly when I left New England the first time, right before 2018. So 2018 season, it was my first season away from New England. I got, you look at the social media, you look at the messages that I got, the people that talked to me at different, when I was leaving at the bars or at the restaurants or the coffee shop that I go to, and they're like, hey, we're really going to miss what you did for the community here. That's my legacy. And I love that, because as much as I want to be remembered for the stuff I did on the field, because I was very good and I had some great moments and all that, even here in Seattle, they are like, hey, we miss what you did and we love that you're still involved. I still do things around Seattle. And so people know me as, and it hurts sometimes because I want them to know me as like the guy who was really good, who did all these great things. But really it's amazing that they think that it's just me as a person. That is my legacy, is that I give back. And I'm like, that is awesome. That is what I think should be a legacy. If you really want to get something to go forward, someone's going to beat a record. Someone's gonna score a better goal, have a better assist, run more than you, tackle harder than you, be flashier. How many people are going to say, well, you were a better guy than Kelyn, or you gave back more? If they did, awesome. But the fact that they're remembering me for that and what I did for the community, that weighs heavily on my heart. That's nice.
That's amazing, honestly, and especially since it's home.
Yeah.
That's home. There's where are you supposed to make the biggest impact? The community you grew up in.
Well, the community that you live, right? There's no reason to, you get dropped in a community for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. Why not make it better? That's the
Exactly.
whole point
Yeah.
of humanity
Yeah.
is be kind to thy neighbor,
Exactly. Exactly. If you could, Kels, last question. If you could give a piece of advice to a youth player based on all the experiences you've had, what would that be?
So I take from my parents, I think as we most of us will or should. Um, since I was 10 years old, so since we known each other, my father and my mother would either tell me, text me, call me the same three things before every game I played. And they did it as a pro. They do it, they don't do it now because I haven't played many games, but it's three things. It's have fun. This game it's a game. It's meant to be fun. You have to enjoy yourself. If you're not enjoying yourself, it becomes a job. Just go work behind a desk, right? So have fun, be creative. Don't have to be like everyone else. You don't. If you're not flashy, you're not flashy. But if something messes up, you want to try it again, try it again. But be yourself. It's not just this robotic system anymore, especially nowadays. So be creative,
Yeah.
make it your own. And then the third thing, and probably the most important in my mind, is don't let anyone work harder than you. If you look across the field and you see someone you're going against and you're like, I'm going to outwork them, I would say 90% of the time you win. Skill alone is fine, but if you work harder day on, day out, you're going to make it in the other pieces. But then you put that into life, right? Enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the people you're around. Be creative. You don't have to be like every one of your friends or every group of people. You can be like yourself. Everyone wants to be individuals, so be like yourself. And then if you can just work hard, you're going to make something of yourself. And so I think with life,
Love
but
it.
also with soccer, those are the things that I would say. Those three things are my advice.